Hello, I'm Brenda Sanders Passmore, and welcome to Health Bites. Today I'm speaking with Robert Norton. He's the owner of Norton Arts, a conflict management and self-protection business. So welcome to the show, Robert. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So why do you think islanders need to learn more about self-protection?
Well, self-protection is a big area, and for all of us, to try to be more proactive towards our personal safety is key.
Right.
And it's, I always like to ask a very simple question when I'm teaching, and it's, doesn't it make more sense to learn the skills to prevent physical conflict than it does to solely react to circumstances?
Right, makes sense.
So there's where it comes as a definition difference between self-protection and sometimes what is perceived as being self-defense.
Okay.
And a lot of people see self-defense as solely reacting to circumstances.
Right, when the time comes.
Exactly, and physically defending themselves.
Right.
But think about it, in reality, we want to prevent that stuff from happening in the first place.
Decompress situations and prevent it.
Let's try to learn the skills to prevent that stuff from happening in the first place.
Interesting. So what types of things do you cover in your courses? What do people learn when they come to you?
A lot. So even though the basic course is about 4 hours in length.
Okay. So there's a lot of information
There's
coming
a lot
at
of
them.
information
Yeah.
in there, but it's taught in such a way that it's easily absorbed.
Right.
And it's retained.
Right.
And that's the main thing. It's not complicated.
Good.
And that's what a lot of people get out of it, especially from the physicality. When it does get to that level, that it's not complicated techniques.
It's easier than they thought it would be.
You got it,
most
because
times.
I'm not teaching martial arts.
Right.
I'm teaching practical self-defense.
Okay.
And there's a big difference between the two.
Sure.
So we start with our legal rights. Let's
Right.
learn what our rights are, what our responsibilities.
Okay.
And then when you look at conflict as a whole, well, first things first, let's try to identify potential dangers.
Okay.
And if we can identify them, then we need to learn how to avoid them whenever possible.
Okay. So maybe could you give us an example, maybe?
Yeah, take for an example that you leave your car in a parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
There's one thing to obviously return to it late at night,
Mm-hmm.
but if you've got an idea that you're going to be returning to it late at night,
Mm-hmm.
let's look at proactively what can we do in regards to parking the car in the first place.
Okay.
Can we reverse into the parking space?
Oh, right.
Can
Okay.
we park as close to the building as possible where there's
Sure.
a good lighting?
Okay.
So we're looking at all those elements.
Mm-hmm.
If people are potentially going to hide to try and take us by surprise, where would they do that?
Mm-hmm.
If we're approaching our vehicle upon returning to it,
Mm-hmm.
then we want to be in a position where we can see around the vehicle. So we
Mm-hmm.
want to be able to approach it from a distance.
Makes sense.
And the same thing is that they're going to hide. They could be hiding behind the back of the vehicle. So we
Right.
want to ideally approach from the back
And
of the
even
vehicle.
just being more aware, not having your phone in your hands, and
Exactly.
just being aware of your surroundings and things like that is important too as
You got it.
well.
It's a prevention. It's obviously
Yeah.
if you've got your keys, have your keys out in
At
advance.
the ready, yeah.
Versus approaching the car, then putting the bag on the hood and trying to find the keys.
Yes.
Have it out in advance. It's all
And that
prevention.
happens. Women are terrible for that. I'm the worst.
Right. It's all prevention, isn't it?
Right,
So-
okay, good. So I was hoping maybe you could show me maybe a technique or two that maybe the students might learn in a typical course with you, and maybe you could show me something that to help me defend myself.
Yeah, absolutely. There's one of the first and foremost is being able to manage our personal space.
Right.
That's key.
Okay.
And it's one thing reacting to circumstances, and that's why sometimes a lot of people think, okay, it's self-defense, it's completely physical.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of information that is received before we even cover the physical aspect.
Okay.
Because it's about prevention. Knowing your legal rights, for an example, is key because it has a huge psychological impact on you if you go into a conflict.
Oh, absolutely.
So knowing those rights, and 9 out of 10 people in every class that I teach do not know their legal rights. And when they understand their legal rights and responsibilities, it makes a massive difference on how they go about managing their personal space.
That's really
and
interesting.
and that potential conflict.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing I'll share with you is, should you need to protect your personal space,
Okay.
how would you do that?
Okay.
So you just think, for an example, you want to find out somebody's intention as quickly as possible.
Right.
Because the longer it goes on, the more it pumps us.
Yeah.
And obviously the fear,
adrenaline and
you
everything
got it,
starts going, yeah.
The anxiety builds up.
Sure.
So we want to try and reduce that anxiety. So should there be a position where somebody is coming into your personal space and you have a right to protect that, how do you do so?
Okay.
What would be the first instinct for you to do if somebody came into your personal space?
Run.
Well, and that's perfect, isn't it? Because
okay, that's the right answer. Good.
because that's prevention.
Good.
And like I said, I said before, the safest place to be when a crisis occurs is nowhere around.
Yeah.
And it's a silly statement in a way, but it's perfect because if your intuition, if your instincts is saying, something just doesn't feel right around here.
Right. Chances are that's the case.
You got it. Get yourself out of there
Listen to that
versus
gut
waiting.
feeling.
It's like if you're approaching your car late at night, for example, and there is somebody loitering around that car. Your instincts are telling you something's just not right. You could wait for a couple of minutes to see if that person left and then safely go to your vehicle, or you could turn face and go back to your building, call for help, or wait it out. So again, it's your instincts. So if you've got a chance to run, you should do. And I like to say to people when it comes to self-defense, you have a job. Your job is to get home safely to your loved ones. And you do what you need to do, and ideally as quickly as possible in order to do that.
Okay.
But let's just say you got cornered.
Okay.
So if you kind of got cornered and you had to protect your space,
Right.
would you stand there and sort of put your fisties up to me? Or how would
I'm
you?
not really sure how I would react, to be honest.
And that's, a lot of people say, well, Rob, I'd come to you for all the answers. I'm like, well, the way I like to teach as well, I like to ask a lot of questions. Why? Because it really gets that brain thinking.
Right.
So you think yourself, I'm going to walk towards you. And if I walk towards you, I don't want you to simply just put your hands up.
Right.
Now, if I did this to you, or you did that to me, you would be sending signals out to me that you want to fight.
You want to
That's
fight
not
and be aggressive.
self-defense.
No.
So when a lot of arts teach that, that's not teaching self-defense, that's teaching fighting.
Right.
And even with the criminal code, you are not sending out signals that you want to diffuse a conflict, you're sending out signals that you want to escalate.
And I wouldn't be comfortable fighting. Like,
And most of us aren't.
I would
don't
be way
like
out
to
of my
either.
depth.
The last thing you want to do is get physical, right?
No.
So, if I walk towards you and I made you feel uncomfortable, you're in a position to be able to manage that a lot more effectively by using your verbal and your non-verbal communication.
Okay.
As soon as you just put your hands up, what are you telling me?
Stop.
Right, you're sending out
Like,
signals
back off.
that I'm not comfortable with this situation.
Yeah.
However, if you tell me to back off, your verbal and your non-verbal is now conflicting. Because when you say to somebody back off, what are you actually doing? You're telling them what to do.
Oh,
So
right,
if you
okay.
think of somebody being already aggressive with hostile intentions and you tell them to back off, you're actually escalating the conflict versus de-escalating
Oh,
it.
isn't that interesting?
And that's the same as saying to somebody when you've got disagreements, calm down. You need to calm down.
Oh, yeah.
When is telling somebody to calm
That's
down?
never
calm
worked.
Right, and it's the same with back off. It's
Okay.
it's hostilities.
Right.
So if I came towards you and you suddenly put your hands up and you're letting me know that you're not comfortable with the situation, you're now verbally and non-verbally communicating to me, and you have a right to do certain things when it comes to self-protection.
Right.
But you're also going to find out my intentions pretty quickly.
Right.
So I'm going to walk towards you.
Okay.
And as I walk towards you, I want you to just put your hands
Okay.
up. And you can see here, there's no set way of doing it.
Okay.
Just put your hands in front, protect your
All right.
personal space, and just say to me, I'm not comfortable.
Okay.
Okay, so you're making it about you. You're not making it about me being the aggressor. You're just making it about you. I'm not comfortable.
Okay.
And I'm going to do something towards you,
Okay.
which you're going to learn my intentions pretty rapidly.
Okay.
Okay, are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
Coming in.
All right. I'm not comfortable.
I don't care! So if I went in and attacked, what have you just learnt?
You got to move fast.
Got to move fast, but
Gotta think
you've
fast.
learnt my intentions pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And you've learnt that I'm going to disrespect your personal space.
That whatever I've just said has
Right.
just gone right through.
However, I'm going to do the same thing again to you.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll do something different, but you do exactly the same thing. Just put your hands
Okay.
up, say you're not comfortable.
All right.
Okay?
I'm not comfortable.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologise. Now, what have I just done? Have I showed you my intentions again?
Yeah, you're not meaning me any
You
harm.
got it, this time to respect your personal
Right.
space.
Okay.
So again, you found out by doing exactly the same thing, an intention. However, sometimes you've got to be careful, because if you put your hands up and suddenly say, it's fine, person steps back, and you put your hands down, and it's okay, it's fine. That person still may attack.
Yeah, that's true
So
too.
it's still to protect it. Now, I'm going to do it one more time.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
All right. I'm not comfortable with that.
Okay, so did you learn my intentions?
Yeah, you weren't listening very well.
Wasn't listening very well. And was there any difference?
Not respecting my space.
You got it. It's
You're
exactly
still
the
in
same
my
as,
space.
same as the first one,
Yeah,
right?
just
Even though
not
I
as
didn't
aggressive.
Right, I didn't go physical, but you learnt my intentions as quickly as you possibly could.
Right.
So I'm still in a position where I could do stuff, but you learnt my intentions by just using those 3 simple words, I'm not comfortable. You're in a position to find out my intentions pretty quick.
Okay.
So that's just a little tip when it comes to obviously protecting that personal space. You want to find out intentions as quickly as you possibly can.
Absolutely.
Now, when it comes to the legal aspect, do you have a right to strike?
I don't know.
So just think, legally, could you strike me first? Think of that third one that we just did. You put your hands up. I didn't say anything to you, which can come across as being freaky and very creepy, but you found out my intentions. But I was still there, wasn't I? I didn't back
Yeah.
off. So could you strike me?
I'm not really sure.
Legally, you could,
Oh, is that right?
because you have intentionally shown to that person that you do not want a physical conflict. So you've done everything in your power to try to resolve a
Right.
conflict from going physical.
Okay.
And my intentions are still pure in regards to disrespecting you.
Okay.
So you do have a right. Doesn't mean we're going to go around hitting everybody.
No.
It just means that you have a right to do so.
Okay.
Okay? So if I was to do that, where could you hit me? Remember, your intention is to get away as quickly as possible.
I'd probably go for the. I'd probably go for the balls.
Right, and that's what, not today, please, thank you. Okay, and a lot of times that's what a lot of people teach, and it's like, okay, go for the groin.
Yeah, go for the
And
groin.
You may get lucky, but the chances of you hitting that area is quite slim.
Okay.
Okay, one, because, you know, the size of the area, that's a difficult way to put that. The chance of hitting the leg is quite high.
Okay.
And the adrenaline pump at the time for you, and it's very hard to focus on that area.
Right.
So, also, if somebody is on drugs, they may not even feel it.
Oh.
So what's going to happen to your brain is if you suddenly give a good knee and nothing happens to the bad guy, your brain freezes,
Yeah, it would.
and then that person's got you. Okay.
So what would you recommend instead?
Go for the face.
Go for the
Always
face. Okay.
go up the hair because it's the softest body tissue, and
Right.
that's where we want to go. And think, obviously yourself, if somebody suddenly put hands in your face, what would you naturally try to do as well? Protect yourself to get the hands away from the face.
Are we better off to try to go for the eyes as opposed to trying to physically punch them?
Yeah, we certainly try not to punch. I'm never going to say to somebody, don't punch.
Right.
And the reason being, yes, you could break your fist. You're always better off with open palms. And remember, your palms are already open here when you're saying, look, I'm not comfortable. So if I suddenly did this, I'm signaling my intent to you, and you're going to see it coming.
Right.
But if I'm here, I'm not comfortable, I'm really not comfortable,
Right.
they're not going to see it as much. Okay, so
Okay.
now I'm in a position to go with a softer tissue area.
Right.
And as soon as I'm going to the face, the chances of them trying to protect themselves at that point in time is high. That means their hands are on themselves,
Right.
not on you. You've got
Good.
a chance to go back to that running thing again and get out of there as quickly as possible, right?
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Robert. I really appreciate your time and all your wisdom and all that prevention tips. It's really great. You can find Robert Norton at Norton Arts PEI on Facebook, and he's got a wonderful program going on. You should really check it out. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.